You're listening to Kate Palmer from sparkletart.com.
Today I'm going to show you a really simple technique for colouring mulberry flowers with Copic markers. Now this is wonderful if you've created a Copic project and don't have any embellishments to go with it. This makes a beautiful flower and you can use this whether it's on a Copic project or not. So the first step is to choose 3 colours of Copic marker. Now it's best if you choose colours that are very similar, so they have the same amount of grey. So I've chosen V09, RV09 and YR09. Now I'm going to start with the V09, and this is wonderful because you don't have to have anything other than your Copic markers to do this. Now what I like to do, and you don't need to try and blend or anything here, is just lay the colour on the centre of the petals. And because I'm using 3 colours here, I'm going to colour a third of the petal. Now the reason I like Copics for this is because even if there's a little bit of glue on the flower from having it created, those Copic markers will just go right over the top. Now make sure you've coloured right up to the stamens in the middle. Now this flower has multiple layers. It's one of the mulberry paper flowers. So I'm just lifting up that top layer and adding a bit more colour to the petals underneath. You don't want to leave any petals white because you never know what you'll see on your finished project. Keep going until every petal has at least a little colour on it. Now there's no time limit on this. You can go as carefully, as quickly or as slowly as you like. It doesn't really matter. Alright, so that's my first colour laid down. So at this stage you can see that basically it's just the centre of the flower that I've coloured in here. And you can see all of the little petals and bits and pieces that are coloured in here. Next I'm going to add the RV09 to another third of each petal, going over the purple and working out towards the edge, but don't forget to leave some white space on the edges to add that third and final colour. Now the beauty of this is you can colour this any way you like. If you wanted to do the underneath petals a different colour, you could. If you wanted to do the pink on the underneath petals towards the centre, you could. If you wanted to make the underneath petals all one colour, you can. Because you're colouring the flower yourself, you can make it look any way you want. Now just keep in mind some of these petals underneath are sort of a bit turned over. So it pays just to check and colour the bottoms if you need to. I've now got the pink on. Again, you can see I haven't blended at all. So what I'm going to do now is add my orange, which is my final colour, which is the YR09. And I'm just going to fill in the rest of the flower. So just all of these little bits on each of the petals that have yet to be coloured. Just keep adding colour until the majority of those little white bits left on the petals are all covered. Alright, so this is sort of the end of phase 1, and what you'll end up with at this point is a very vibrant coloured flower that looks a bit like a hot mess. So you've got unblended colours, a bit scrappy looking. This is where the magic happens. Now for this next step you'll need a craft gun, and you'll also need the colourless blending fluid in the various ink tube. As you can start from the top or bottom, you need to soak each of the petals. So I'm just sort of squirting the various ink over the petal edges. Because the mulberry flower is paper, it's soaking that up. And the next step is to heat it with the heat gun. Now the heat gun makes the colours react differently than they would if you just let this air dry. And the various ink makes those colours blend and wick and spread. So what you'll find with the heat gun You'll get some discoloration to the edges of the petals, so they'll be a little bit darker than some of the rest of the flower. For me, this flower is a little bit too orange still. I think I like a bit more of the pink. So again, I've got two choices here. I can go over with a little more pink, or if you have it, you can drip some re-inker on here. Now I won't need to recolour the whole flower, but what I am going to do is go and add a little bit more pink, and of course then a little bit more of the Copic blending fluid, and then hit it again with the heat gun. Now you can see with this second application of colour, there's a lot more of the dark purple wicking out. Now you can see that's a much better blend and the flower is much more vibrant to look at. Isn't that gorgeous? Now you might choose to leave it like this, but what I like to do is add a little bit of Stickles around the edges and a little bit of Stickles to the stamens just to finish it off. So I'm going to go and do that and show you what it looks like. I've chosen to add Stickles in the colour Diamond because it has some beautiful red and gold tones that I think will match this flower perfectly. I'm just going to leave this to dry, and this is my now dry gardenia. Now as you can see, the colour is stunning. So you get a really good mix of the violet in the middle coming to the pink on the sort of inner section of the petals and that beautiful orange colour, and by adding the second layer of colour and then that second layer of blending fluid, the purple in the middle has sort of crept out to the edge of some of those petals there. So what you get is it almost looks velvety, so it didn't even really need much more embellishment, but I think the Stickles on the edge here really just helps finish it off. So you've got that gorgeous, gorgeous colour with the Stickles just at the edges here. If you're looking for ways to use this kind of flower, I've put one that I've done with a similar combination of colours and just mounted it on this card here. So that the flower is really one of the central components of the card. Those beautiful Copic colours, the Stickles on the edges of the flowers, and it really just sets the whole thing off. So you could very easily use the flower you've created as the centerpiece like I have done here on any kind of card. This clip is part 2 of a series of 3, so remember to come back and have a look at part 1 and part 3, which will show you bicoloured flowers and blinged up flowers, all using your yummy Copic markers. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye.